Something that's kind of been in the news a little bit here in the last day or two. Dr. Sean Baker had a video about this person that had a heart attack after doing carnivore. I want to say that they had been doing carnivore for like 2 years, or maybe it was 3 years, something like that. And they were saying that they weren't sure, if carnivore was related to their heart attack, that type of thing. And interestingly enough, they actually said that uh, their LDL was better, their HDL was better, their cholesterol overall was better than what it was before they were on carnivore. But at the same time, they weren't sure if carnivore was the reason for their heart attack. And so Dr. Sean Baker put a lot of good points out on his video. And I want to talk a little bit about not just that type of situation, but in general. Like it seems to me like people are not understanding that when you have eaten horribly and have been overweight for most of your life, that has a bigger effect on your health than just a couple of years of doing a particular diet. And in this case, this person, they had, I think they said that they had lost over 100 pounds or something like that. And they were well over, very overweight for a good part of their life. And that's the thing, like, I think that people are thinking that you can, that, it's okay that they had been unhealthy and overweight most of their life. And just, with a drop of a pin or whatever, from a year or two of eating a certain way, that they're just going to be completely healthy now. And that's not necessarily the case. There's damage that could have been done to your body. If this person never had certain tests done, they could have had um, the start of heart disease and different blockages and so forth in their arteries before they even went to carnivore. Um, and so that's kind of like the thing that I think people forget. Like, people think that carnivore is such a good diet for getting healthy and so forth, and I do believe it is, but that doesn't mean that your past majority of your life is just washed away. You know, there are definitely things that can happen. I mean, I look at myself. I'm I'm going to be 52 years old here in like 3 weeks, and I started carnivore about 3.5 years ago. So I was 48 years old, and I would say probably at least 30 years of my life was being overweight. 48 years of my life, I ate bad things. I ate, processed foods, candy bars. I drank soda, in my 20s and early 30s. I used to drink so much soda, cans of soda every day, 5, 6, 7, 8 cans of soda every day. That kind of stuff, doing that stuff every day for so much of your life does damage to your body. And now I've ate healthy for 3.5 years. I've watched what I've been eating and drinking. I haven't been drinking any soda in that time period. I haven't really eaten processed foods, particularly highly processed foods. And I feel like I am getting healthier. But 48 years of damage does not go away in 3.5 years. And there may be some permanent things that have happened that, cause that. Like for me, look at, I got AFib back in 2018 when I was on a standard diet. That was probably years and years of bad eating, drinking alcohol for years, because I did drink alcohol, all those things that eventually did that type of damage to my body that I now had AFib. Um, I'm lucky that I've been over 3 years now without an episode. So my body, I feel like, is healing, but that doesn't mean that it's completely gone. That doesn't mean that, I'm not going to have another AFib episode, especially if I were to eat something bad again, something that triggers AFib, that type of thing, right? So, There's damage that is done to your body. And that's why it's important for younger people to really care about their bodies. And even if you don't want to think about carnivore, low carb, maybe you're more into the whole foods type of thing of vegetables and stuff like that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but if you're into that, that's better than all that highly processed food. And I think young people need to look at more whole foods, whether it's carnivore type low carb thing or whether it's more, along vegetables and stuff, whole foods, getting away from those processed foods, the really sugary foods. Now, I can go into saying that, most of those vegetables are going to break down into glucose in your body, just like sugar anyway, but that's another story. But still, you're eating healthier than all that processed food, all the drinks that are just loaded in sugar, processed items, the different ingredients in some of those sodas and energy drinks and so forth. You know, it is important that young people think about their health now and try and be healthier now than wait like I did until they're 48 years old and have different health problems and then decide that they're going to do something. It's never too late to do something, but it doesn't mean that damage wasn't already done or you're on your way towards more bigger health issues, even though you've switched to a healthier eating. And I think another piece, which Dr. Sean Baker also talked about in this video that I saw, is exercise. Exercise is so important for you. Um, and it doesn't have to be like a particular set exercise. Like people think like, okay, I've got to go to the gym. I have to, you know, do this particular thing. It doesn't have to be that way. Think about the olden days, going back 100 years or even 50, 60 years, whatever. People weren't sitting around as much. We tend to be sitting here, scrolling on our phones, on TikTok, whatever it is, YouTube, looking at the shorts, right? We tend to do that, sitting down, not being active. 50, 60, and especially 100 years ago, people weren't doing those types of things. They were being active. And it doesn't mean that getting exercise means that you have to go out and run a marathon or you have to go out and do this structured lifting of weights or whatever it is. It just means that you need to be more active. You know, People used to do more in outside, which is good too because you're getting sun. But doing things like in the yard work and so forth. Now we pay people to come out and do our yard work for us, right? I guess you could say in a sense we've kind of gotten a little bit lazy, but that's the type of thing. Like we need to get more exercise, more activity like that. That is so good for you, so healthy for you. Eating is still a major thing. The eating goes with it. Like you can't out exercise a bad diet, right? You just can't. You've got to eat healthy, but I think you should also be more active. And I think that is the biggest message for younger people is stay active or be active if you're not already being active, and watch your eating. Don't eat all those really highly processed foods. If you are gonna look more into like low carb carnivore, great. But even if you're not, you gotta stay away from those highly processed foods. Those are so bad for you. And when you get to an age like I was at 48 years old, you want to be that you're still a healthy person. You don't feel old. You don't want to be in the situation I was where I was 48 feeling like I was 70 something and just not feeling like I was going to live much longer. Luckily, I've been able to improve my health. I don't know how much I've improved my health because, 48 years I ate bad, but I'm doing what I can now. But if you're younger, you want to start doing that now so that you don't have to be in the situation that I was when I was 48 years old.